In this video, we're going to be looking at an alternative source of food that you can make at home yourself. And I believe the Japanese have been using in their koi farms for years. And I'm going to be sniffing my pond water. What is that all about? Let's crack on. I was reading my koi kichi book. You remember the one that I won in the raffle when I went to the koi collection? And I was reading through, skimming through pages while some rubbish was on telly. And I was looking at food sources that they use in Japan. And I thought, why not look at what the experts use and then maybe try to duplicate it? And I came up with a page. There's 2 pages here of the feeding that the author of this book, Peter Waddington, spent a lot of time over there. He said here, in the early visits to Japan, I asked many breeders the type of koi food that you use and that you would feed. Many different answers came back to me replies. However, excluding the following, no other types of feed were recommended. So they were looking at commercial koi pellets, which is you use, that go in your pond, you buy from your shop. Koi pellets made to the breeder's own recipe. Good luck getting hold of them and being able to afford to do that kind of stuff. Lettuce, cabbage leaves, not spinach. Boiled barley. Now boiled barley, I tried boiled barley about 4 or 5 years ago, and I don't know why I tried it, to be honest. I think I heard about it somewhere and I tried it, but anyway. Crushed toasted barley for small koi, and then dried silkworm pupae. Water snails crushed underfoot and fed to koi. They take the flesh and spit out the shells. So I thought, right, okay, I'll tell you what. And then I read on a little bit more. Let me just bear with me. I read on a bit more, and it said with the dried silkworm pupae, you can mix it with the boiled barley. So you boil up the barley and then mix your pupae with it, and then it goes cold overnight, and then you feed it to your fish and it all sinks to the bottom. So I thought, right, get yourself over to the local supermarket, get yourself some barley, get it on the boil. Now it says put sort of 100 grams to 500 millilitres of water. So I thought, nah, sorry, I'll make a big batch. So I put 200 grams in and put 200 millilitres and put 1,000 millilitres or a litre of water in, and boiled it all up. So brought it to the boil for 10 minutes and let it simmer for 50 minutes. So all in all an hour. So it was all boiled up, and then it basically doubled in size. So what I'm going to do today is I've boiled it up and I've got that ready. I've also got my fly pupae ready, and I've got a big bucket. Where's my Blue Peter badge? I need Blue Peter badge. It's like Blue Peter this is. Here's one I prepared earlier. I'm going to put the boiled barley into the bucket. While that's cooling, I'm going to leave it with the water because the water's still quite hot. And I'm going to put 10%. It says in the book 10% of the barley, 10% of the fly pupae with regards to the barley. So I'm going to put it all together, let it cool off overnight, and then feed it to the fish. And I'll tell you all about what it is as I'm going along. Anyway, let's crack on. Right, so I've got all my ingredients here. Boiled the barley. Now see how this is doubled in size now. It tastes like, actually, like shredded wheat. Anyway, got the barley. It's still in the water. I'm going to measure out 10% of this, which is going to be around about 20 grams of the pupae. That's no lie, is it? 60. No, so they're going to double it. 40, let's go 40. So I'm going to put 20% in. Yeah, sorry, because then that's plenty of that into that then, I think. Is that right? So this can now go in my bucket. And then the barley with the water. And I'm going to basically just leave this now to deal with itself overnight. Get the pupae underneath the barley, I think. Here we go. I'm going to let this sort of cool off overnight and drain the water off and see what happens when I feed it to them.
24 hours later.
Right, it's been overnight, and the dried silkworm pupae which I think I called them something else yesterday. I can't remember what I called them. Anyway, whatever I called them yesterday, these are dried silkworm pupae. They aren't expensive. You know, you can get these from your local. In fact, I'll tell you where I got these from. Can you remember I went up to the Japanese water gardens and I had that tub of 3 that was like $9.99. I had 3 loads in there, so they aren't expensive. Anyways, got it all done. It's now cooled down in the bucket. I'm going to just sieve off some of the water, because apparently you're not supposed to put the water in as well. There isn't much water in them, to be honest. No, there isn't. There's no water hardly in here now. It's just a big bucket. Oh, there's a little bit at the bottom. I'm just going to leave that water in. I'm not going to bother doing this. There's no point. I've got all I need here. And all I'm going to do is I'll just chuck these in. Chuck these in and see if the fish like them or not. Now apparently this stuff sinks. So it doesn't say in the book how you sort of give it in. So I'm just going to get a handful and chuck it in and watch it sink. And see if the fish go after it. I think what I'll do, I'll get my little GoPro-y thing, chuck that in behind it. Or chuck it in first so they get used to that being in there, then throw some food in and see if they eat it or not. Let's give it a go. Right, so got GoPro camera. Not sure how I'm going to put this in, but anyway, I'm going to chuck it in somewhere in the corner and then throw some of this food in. I have fed them this morning and they've just literally been picking up on some bits and pieces, but let's see what happens. See if they like it or not, I've no idea. The OJ then. Bugger. Anyway, right, so let's get some of this food in and see if they eat it or not. Right, so while we're waiting for the fish to sort themselves out and whether they want to eat that stuff I've just chucked in or not, sniffing your pond water. This is an interesting one. I was watching a YouTube video the other week from a well-known koi supplier who was talking about in Japan, one of the ways, no, it's not I believe it's one of the ways they look at the quality of their water is how it smells. So he was saying that if your pond water, smell your pond water, and if it smells like fish, then that's not good, because that could be excess mucus or some issues with your fish giving off that smell into the water. But apparently your water should smell like soil or dirt. If it does, apparently that is a good sign that your pond water is in good condition. So let's have a go. Wow, it does actually smell like soil. Wow. So that's good. If my pond water smells of soil, then apparently that's a good thing. Now what if it smells of fish? What do you do about it? I don't know. I didn't hear that bit. He might have mentioned it, but I sort of maybe didn't hear that bit. Or did he? I don't think he said actually. Maybe I don't know, maybe look into your pond and see if there's some issues with your fish. But I don't recall him saying, if it smells of fish, do this, or if it smells of fish, do that. I didn't catch that bit, so I don't know. But mine smells of peat, or like an earthy smell, so that must be good. So have a sniff of your pond. See what it smells like. Right, so while all the fish are on the bottom, hopefully enjoying that barley stuff, I've not really looked at it. I've got the video camera down there, so let's have a quick look. Yeah, I think they've never done this before, so I think they won't be sure what they're supposed to be doing if the camera's picked it up. I don't know, we'll have to have a look. So why am I doing this? So as I said to you a little while ago, I got this book which is written by a well-experienced koi keeper who spent years going over to Japan, learning what Japan has to do, bringing all the ideas here. He's the guy that helped to invent the vortex. He brought over Japanese matting, foods, filter systems. You know, this guy's no longer with us, unfortunately, but he had years and years and years and years, decades of information, put it all in this book. So like I said the other day, like I said yesterday, I was reading this book and I was just going through the different foods. So why this? Let me read you this bit. So several breeders use boiled barley together with silkworm pupae on a regular daily basis. The barley is well boiled and left to cool in a large container submerged in the water used during the boiling process. Silkworm pupae is added to the water around about 10% of the volume of barley. Okay, I added a little bit more maybe. And mixed well, and is allowed to cool overnight, which we did. And the water removed in the morning after which the food can be fed. This food sinks to the bottom of the pond. Yes, it does, we've seen that. So dried silkworm pupae. The boiled barley produces a good volume together with a good skin quality, whilst the silkworm pupae aids colour enhancement to the red pigmentation. Silkworm pupae are recommended to be soaked overnight as above or crushed before feeding because they are quite hard in texture. Should only be used at water temperatures over 65 degrees Fahrenheit. So what's that, like 15 degrees C? I've no idea. Anyway, Google it on there. Over 65 degrees Fahrenheit. I use these myself as a summer feed together with pelletized food. So, you know, this is why I thought I'd try it, because it can only benefit the koi, and it's cheap as chips. A pack of 500 grams of the barley bits, the barley stuff, was £1.20 for 500 grams. And you saw how much I got. I only used half a pack, or 200 grams should I say. And I've got a massive bottle. I'm going to put that in every day now, once a day, every day till it's all gone now. Either mornings or afternoons, I don't know, just somewhere through the day, whenever I can be bothered. And the pupae, the silkworm pupae stuff, you know, they're as cheap as chips as well. I'm sure you can get hold of them. Like I said, I had that tub there for like a tenner, and that had 3 packs in it. So, you know, how much feed you can get out of that. And it's recommended, used with the pelletized food, which I'll be doing. I'll be using my pellet food still, so I'll still be using that, but I'm going to have a go at this as well. I'm just wondering if my fish aren't going to it much is because I've never, that I can remember, never ever fed any food that sinks to the bottom. I think I may have chucked the odd prawn in, or mussel, but I've never really thrown an amount of food like that into the bottom, so maybe they just don't know what it is yet. But they all seem to be avoiding it. Maybe they think it's some foreign body in there. So I'm going to keep this tub anyway. I'm going to use this in this tub. I'm going to feed every day now. If they're eating it, if they don't, then I'll probably go in the bin. And I'll call it a day at that. But I'm going to see how it goes for the next couple of days and then report back. So let's go to another day.
One eternity later.
Right, it's been a couple of days and I've been putting the food in. All that food disappeared, literally. About 2 hours-ish after I last spoke to you, it all disappeared. I came down later on to, like I thought, so I'm going to scrape it off the bottom, and it was all gone. So as you can see, they're all at the window now looking for food. So I'm going to chuck another one in, see if they're going to start chomping on it now. Because like I say, I've got a whole tub of this stuff. Well, not a whole tub, I've got about half a tub of this. Doesn't smell very nice. Oh God. Jesus. Yeah, that doesn't smell very good at all. So I'm going to chuck another half a tub, one of these takeaway tubs, in, and see what happens. So if you want to see what other treats you can give your koi, you can click on this video here, because this is a video that I did loads of testing on other alternative treats that you can give your koi. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe, ding the bell for notifications, share it with yourself, but click the like, because it makes all the difference to that algorithm. Thanks very much for watching, Andy. So thanks very much for watching Cup and Lifestyle.